I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
The story of star-crossed lovers and the tropes of Beauty and the Beast are no strangers to the land of fantasy films, especially in the 80s. But one film managed to showcase these classic plots in a way never really seen before, and would give us one of the best fantasy movies to come out of the 80s. Richard Donner, a man with a diverse filmography that went from The Son of Satan to The Son of Durrell in the span of only a couple of years, would be the one to bring this film to life. Ladyhawke would be released the same year as Donner's probably more well-known classic, The Goonies, 1985, and introduced filmgoers to one of the most beautiful romances to come out of the genre. By the time Richard Donner made Ladyhawke, he already had massive hits under his belt. The Omen, Superman 1 and 2, and The Toy had him as one of the top directors in Hollywood, and one that showed a lot of range when it came to subjects. Donner had wanted to make Ladyhawke for a while, and it was finally greenlit with a budget of $20 million. Donner would also produce the film, which would be co-written by Blade Runner scribe David Peoples, eventually reuniting him with star Rutger Hauer. Filming would begin in and finish in 1983, with Donner having scouted various locations and finally settling on shooting in Italy. Ladyhawke's journey into film is an interesting one, especially when it comes to the cast. At the time, Matthew Broderick had yet to become known for his role in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Which would come out a few months after Ladyhawke's spring release. But Broderick had gained popularity with the massive hit War Games in 1983. Prior to Broderick's casting, the role of Mouse had almost gone to fellow 80s teen king Sean Penn, and then, in the other extreme, to the older Dustin Hoffman. Luckily for us and Broderick, they chose him for the part.
Pure chance, a miracle, once in a lifetime.
While Philippe Gaston, aka Mouse, isn't one of the two lovers at the center of the film story, he is in fact the heart of it. He's also our narrator in a way, speaking to God throughout the film with a charmingly twisted logic to his actions and justifying his thievery. As he likes to point out,
what a weak-willed person I am.
Mouse is an interesting choice for such a film. There's no love interest for him, even though he makes it clear he's a bit in love with Isabeau, but I mean, who can blame him? When usually you'd expect some sort of ending like that for him. Instead, his story and journey are really about redemption, which is a big facet of the film, as is duality of nature and good versus evil. Philippe's nickname is ironic, as a mouse would typically be prey for a hawk, let alone a wolf. Philippe represents a lot of the mouse's traits as well, being quick, able to get through the most narrow spaces, and being of small stature but surprisingly strong-willed. Broderick would wind up with a pretty big payday for the film, banking $750,000 of the movie's budget to his salary. He'd earned it though, filming scenes such as his escape from the dungeons over the course of 2 days, drenched in freezing water as he swam through the sewers. Michelle Pfeiffer almost didn't take the role of Isabeau, not wanting to play a quote-unquote princess and being cast simply for her looks. Pfeiffer eventually did take the role though, and got the part of the film's title character. Ladyhawke, or more accurately Isabeau's, influence shows up in various ways through the movie, not just the beautiful hawk itself. There's a scene where the bishop is in his fine gardens and there's a woman dancing for him, and he's feeding her like a pet. It becomes even more disturbing and telling of the evil bishop's mind when you realize she's wearing a dress made to look like bird feathers. The bishop is living out his obsessive fantasy in the open, no one realizing the truth of what he's done. Another sign of Ladyhawke comes from another piece of wardrobe, that of Etienne Navarre's helmet. Look closely along the edges of the face shield and you'll see he's had the design of hawk feathers added to the helm. Leah McKern, a fantastic character actor who had become forever known as Rumpole of the Bailey, would be cast as Imperius, the drunken monk whose confession to the bishop of Navarre and Isabeau's love for one another sealed their fates. Those of you who are Beatles fans probably remember him as a cult leader from the movie Help. Imperius is one of the most obvious representations of redemption in the film. He's given a chance to make right what went wrong, and McKern is just fantastic in the role. His desire to fix things and his guilt are heartbreaking.
God has shown me. He has forgiven me. He hasn't forgiven you.
John Wood was cast as the Bishop of Aquila. Wood's casting is interesting because this would be the second time he would be working with Broderick, having played Dr. Falcon in War Games as well as the voice of the Whopper computer. Wood's acting in this, while relatively brief, is absolutely perfect. He's intense and obsessive. He's utterly a man who believes he's as powerful as the god he supposedly serves.
Kill me, Navarre, and the curse will go on forever.
At the end of the film, when the bishop meets his well-deserved end, the obsession and madness is personified in his face and actions. The bishop's eyes never leave Isabeau until he's breathed his last, and even then, his final word is her name as he dies. The hidden nature of the bishop, as opposed to Navarre, is an interesting contrast. The bishop is usually surrounded by white and draped in it. Navarre is dressed all in black, the one fighting for love and honor. Typically, the villains are the ones all in black, but not here. The supposed pious and righteous figures are the evil ones in hiding. It's also an indicator of what it is that keeps Isabeau and Navarre apart. Light, specifically daylight. The bishop is usually, sans for maybe one scene or two, always shown in daylight, and that is the thing that keeps the lovers separated. Speaking of Navarre, let's take a moment to talk about Rutger Hauer. Hauer was a fantastic actor, and Ladyhawke gave us a glimpse of him doing something he wasn't that well known for, being a romantic lead. In fact, Hauer was originally being looked at for the role of Captain Marquet, the Heavy. Hauer would go on to be known for playing either the outright villain or the anti-hero. Only a few years prior to Ladyhawke, Hauer had his star-making turn as Roy Batty in Blade Runner, and prior to that is the main killer in Nighthawks opposite Sylvester Stallone. The same year Ladyhawke was released, Hauer starred in another medieval film called Flesh and Blood, playing the lead mercenary of the film, and not a nice guy. Where Ladyhawke had the supernatural element of the curse, the rest of the film was relatively sans magic. Flesh and Blood was rooted in, well, as the title suggests, flesh and blood. There's no magic, and it pulls no punches when it comes to the grossness of the age it's set in, having a healthy dose of the bubonic plague involved in the plot. Rutger Hauer as Etienne of Navarre is stunning. Yes, I'm a girl, but he is truly stunning. Donner makes great use of the fact that Hauer and Pfeiffer have some of the most beautiful eyes you'll see on screen. Hauer's icy blue gaze just grabs you. He's restrained in his performance, but you see and hear within him the pain of what has been done to him and the woman he loves. His scenes with Broderick are also packed full of humor, emotion, and affection.
I must kill a man. Tell me, does this walking corpse have a name?
One standout story from the set between these two had to do with the large horse ridden by Hauer in the film. Hauer knew how to ride horses, having done so most of his life. Broderick not so much. So in the scene where Mouse is to get on the horse and go get aid for the injured hawk, Hauer slapped the backside of the horse hard, deciding this was the best way for him to learn. When this happened, Broderick had to hold on for dear life as the horse galloped off half a mile, with the actor managing to stay on it before the crew found them. When you look back on the career of someone like Hauer, Ladyhawke is a standout because it was the type of role he wouldn't be known for often. Yes, he'd play a hero in Blind Fury, for example, but more people probably know him for The Hitcher. In a vast career, it stands out for me. Ladyhawke could have easily become campy and derivative, but Hauer, along with his co-stars, took the film to another level. Hauer imbued Navarre with a realness and seriousness. It's almost impossible to look back at the film and imagine anyone else in the role, even though right up to the 11th hour, Kurt Russell was supposed to play the part. The connection between Isabeau and Navarre is a deep one, as is shown by the fact that the hawk is always with Navarre during the daylight hours, and the wolf protects, and as the bishop haltingly says, loves her at night. Even in their animal forms, they know and recognize each other. Donner conveys this connection in some beautiful and tragic ways. When the hawk is shot by the arrow during the fight with the guard of Aquila, Navarre is injured at the same time and in nearly the exact same spot. And then, of course, there's the scene where Navarre and Isabel nearly touch. There's a lot of focus here on their eyes, with Navarre's still those of a wolf, even as he is looking at her. His transformation back not yet complete. It's beautifully shot and emotional as we and Mouse watch these two so nearly touching, having not seen each other in their human forms for so long. So close and yet so far apart, both of them, as Navarre states, animals that mate for life. The The score for Ladyhawke is a bit divisive for fans of the film. Like many of the fantasy films of the 80s, the music is a mixture, having both traditional or orchestral music mixing in very modern synth-heavy pop sounds. It was put together by Andrew Powell and Alan Parsons. Yes, the Alan Parsons Project scored Ladyhawke. Insert your Dr. Evil puns here.
We shall call it the Alan Parsons Project.
Debate, much like it does with soundtracks like that for Legend, rages among film fans about it, with detractors saying that it distracts from the film. Again, maybe it's because I'm a gazillion years old and I grew up with this movie, but I can't see it having any other soundtrack but that beautiful techno mesh. Do you like the soundtrack or wish it was something different? Let me know in the comments. Ladyhawke wasn't a box office hit when it was released, not even earning back its $20 million budget. Over the years though, thanks to cable, VHS, and word of mouth, it's become a cult classic. Fans keep discovering it, and we OG fans still love it. Ladyhawke, beyond the fantasy film genre trappings, took on plot points like religion, belief, and the hypocrisy of the church. It weaved these threads into a gorgeous film tapestry that combined the medieval with the modern, and thanks to that, is sort of timeless in its story. Ladyhawke still holds up thanks to this and looks absolutely stunning in high definition due to Richard Donner's keen eye for locations and a film that doesn't rely on heavy special effects to create its magic. That's done by the skill of the actors and crew, and they really did cast a beautiful spell. Thank you for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our JOBLO Videos channel. Tell your friends who like this sort of content and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest videos. We're an independent company and we appreciate all of your support.